In this video, we'll give you 10 sneaky starts for Week 5 of the fantasy football season. We are Jim Coventry and Anthony Cervino of RotoWire. At quarterback, I'm going to Caleb Williams of the Bears against the Carolina Panthers. Caleb Williams, the fantasy numbers were not good against the Rams, but 17 of 23, he's showing signs of improvement. Only threw a touchdown, that's fine. He did well against Indianapolis. A lot of garbage time there, but he was fine. But every week he's getting better. And here's the deal. He's playing the Panthers. The Panthers give up 200 yards and 3 touchdowns to Derek Carr on only 23 attempts. Justin Herbert only threw 20 passes against them, gave up 2 touchdowns. The Las Vegas Raiders duo of quarterbacks go for 269 and 2. No pressure coming from Carolina. They lost Shaq Thompson, their linebacker. This is a bad defense. The Bears are at home. They're looking to get their young quarterback confidence. Fire up Caleb Williams. Anthony, who do you like at quarterback?
Jim, I'm starting Trevor Lawrence. As crazy as it sounds, if there's ever a week to use Lawrence, it is this week. This year, he's not turning the ball over a lot. He has thrown for 4 touchdowns, but this offense hasn't looked right. But in the past 2 games, they're starting to get some of their star players going. Brian Thomas looks like the real deal at receiver. We're starting to see Christian Kirk get going. And the matchup this week, he gets the Colts. And in his career against the Colts, at least in 4 out of his past 5 games, Trevor Lawrence has given us at least 20 fantasy points. And this season, we know the Colts have been absolutely gashed by the quarterback position. 3 out of the 4 quarterbacks they have faced, Stroud, Caleb Williams, and Justin Fields, over 21 fantasy points, depending on, obviously where you play. So I am starting Trevor Lawrence. This is a nice get-right matchup for the struggling quarterback.
Halloween season, it's time to get scary at running back here. Javonte Williams, I'm going to say that with a question mark on the end against the Raiders. Yeah, he's been terrible this year, but guess what? Against the Jets, signs of life. 16 carries for 77 yards. That came out of nowhere when he didn't have more than 23 rushing yards in a game. But here's the other thing. He's getting targets. He's had 12 targets in the last 3 weeks. He's usually involved there. But here's the better news. The Raiders are the defense. J.K. Dobbins in week 1, 145 yards on 10 carries. Chuba Hubbard, 21 for $114. He chips in 55 receiving yards. Even Jerome Ford, 10 for 58 and 27 yards through the air. This is a defense that, whether you have a lead or you're playing from behind, you can get receptions, you can get easy yards. I know the blocking for the run is not good for Denver, but Javonte Williams showing signs of life. Again, this should be an opportunity. You got to start him, use him here, because there might be weeks you can't go near him. Anthony, who do you like your running back?
Jim, I am buying back in to Najee Harris. Now, for what it's worth, Najee Harris has been getting the snaps. He's been getting the opportunity. In fact, Najee Harris, 19.5 touches per game. That's 91st percentile at his position. He's also getting the receiving game work, 14.6% of team targets. That's 92nd percentile amongst running backs. But the matchups, he's played the Falcons, Denver, the Colts, Chargers, 3 of those games on the road. They're all top 15 difficult defenses for fantasy running backs. Now the schedule opens up. He gets the Dallas Cowboys, the 3rd easiest matchup for enemy running backs. We've seen Dallas. They've been absolutely trashed by the running back position. Even Jerome Ford in week 1, 18.9 PPR points. Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry, they both go off. Now, to be fair, Dallas minimized Devin Singletary, but that was Devin Singletary. Najee Harris, former first-round pick. I think this is the game where he puts it all together and even sneaks into the end zone.
Oh, I love that. Hey, if you enjoy videos like this, please consider hitting the like button and subscribe to the RotoWire Fantasy Football channel on YouTube. Also, you can get all of our content, rankings, free 2-day trial, no credit card needed. Head on over to rotowire.com/Jim. See what we're all about. If you like us, join the team. If not, we're just glad you stopped by. Moving to wide receiver, Tutu Atwell of the Rams against the Green Bay Packers. Now, last year, Tutu Atwell was pretty relevant through about 7 or 8 weeks, had a number of games with solid yardage, and then they phased him out for Demarcus Robinson. Well, with the injuries at receiver, Atwell's back in. Atwell had 93 yards against the 49ers on 4 catches. And then against the Bears this week, 4 more catches for 82 yards. Matthew Stafford has to throw downfield once in a while. And if he does, he's going Atwell's way. And the Rams defense, obviously no free safety. Their top corner's down. They're not getting a pass rush. Alec Pierce, 5 for 56 and a touchdown, downfield guy. Jordan Addison, a little bit different, but 3 for 72 and a touchdown last week. The game script, the Rams likely fall behind the Packers here. They likely have to throw, fire up Tutu Atwell and give him a shot as well. Anthony, who do you like at wide receiver?
At wide receiver, Khalil Shakir. And Khalil Shakir, week after week, he's been a high floor player in PPR leagues, giving us at least 10.2 PPR points in every single game. Last week, I thought it was going to be the smash game against Baltimore, but Baltimore wasn't having it, and they really shut down this entire Buffalo Bills offense. Now they get Houston, and Houston's defense is playing well, especially against the run, but they're very leaky in the secondary. We expect a high-scoring game between these two offenses, and they might have to throw to Khalil Shakir a little bit more, especially if this game is close. I see a back-and-forth matchup between these two teams. We have yet to see Shakir get more than 6 targets. If there's a game it happens, it should be this week in Houston, because Buffalo, they're going to have to throw the football to win.
At tight end, I like Tyler Conklin of the New York Jets at the Minnesota Vikings. Revenge game? Back to his old team from a while back? Maybe. Hey, Tyler Conklin, when teams bring pressure on the Jets, the hot read is the tight end and the slot receiver, Allen Lazard. But Conklin, 2 weeks ago, the Patriots aren't the greatest pressure team, but they do bring some heat, and Conklin had 6 targets in that game, went for 93 yards. Last week, Denver has really been bringing pressure, and even though Conklin went 4 for 17, 8 targets. That's bankable. 14 targets in 2 games, and this week against Minnesota, you know Brian Flores is going to dial up some heat, and so Conklin should see opportunities. And remember, the duo of Green Bay tight ends, Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave, they went for 66 yards and a touchdown on 9 catches. Even though George Kittle's George Kittle, Eric Sauber also caught like 26 yards and a couple catches. He and Kittle combined for 100 yards on 9 catches. So the tight end position has been very fruitful against Minnesota, and I expect Tyler Conklin to have another high-volume game. Anthony, who do you like at tight end?
I like Tucker Kraft at the tight end position. Remember, going into draft season, everybody was in on Musgrave, but it has been Tucker Kraft. He's been dominating the snaps, doubling Luke Musgrave, 210 to 102, and it's really not close. Even last week, 63 offensive snaps for Kraft, 25 for Musgrave, and Musgrave is probably, if he's rostered, he probably should be dropped at this point. Tucker Kraft, he is finally coming on a little bit. Now, last week, obviously, pops 6 of 9 targets for 53 yards and a touchdown. What's important here is that in week 1, the only other game in which he played with Jordan Love. Now, I get Kraft only had 2 of 3 targets for 37, but 2 of those targets in week 1 came into the red zone. His other 2 red zone targets on the year came last week with Jordan Love. So we already know in 2 games of Jordan Love, he's targeted Kraft in the red zone twice, which means I think he's going to keep going to him. Eventually, he's going to cash in for a touchdown. It could be this week against the Rams.
All right, wild card pick time. My wild card pick, and again, hold your nose on this one, JuJu Smith-Schuster of the Kansas City Chiefs against the New Orleans Saints. What I want to point out with this, JuJu Smith-Schuster, and he may be a player in decline, I get it. He's not old, but it's been downhill. But in 2022, he played with the Chiefs. And in that season, he had 7 games through week 14 with at least 74 yards. Nobody remembers that. And when Patrick Mahomes got him back a couple weeks ago, Patrick Mahomes made positive comments about Smith-Schuster. Well, Rashee Rice isn't playing. Travis Kelce is obviously going to be the middle of the field guy. They have Justin Watson, who is whatever you want to call him. He's downfield, but he's not reliable. And, of course, they have Xavier Worthy, more of a downfield guy. They need a chain mover. And JuJu Smith-Schuster knows the offense, has a rapport with Mahomes. He's going to get targeted. And actually on Wednesday, a report came out. Jeremy Fowler of ESPN says that Smith-Schuster stands to be the player who's going to see an uptick in volume. And it makes sense. So, yes, it might be difficult, but if the bye weeks and injuries are hitting you, give a shot on JuJu Smith-Schuster. Anthony, who's your wild card?
My wild card's Jerry Jeudy. And I know, again, it's not good right now for anything with the Cleveland Browns, but Jerry Jeudy has been one of their more productive offensive players. 3 out of 4 games, over 11.4 PPR points, and at least 7 targets. I get Amari Cooper's there. He had that one pop game, but hasn't really gotten going. Jerry Jeudy has been the consistent target of Deshaun Watson. He hasn't gone crazy, doesn't have the highest ceiling, but I think we finally get that ceiling against the Commanders. And the Commanders are a great story. They might be a top 10 team in the NFL right now, but their secondary is possibly the worst I've seen in a long time. And this could be a game where Jerry Jeudy absolutely goes off.